What stock would you say is maximum risk, but maximum opportunistic?
I think that Google is such a fascinating company because they have roughly 85% of their revenue is tied into a legacy search business that is at risk of getting completely displaced by AI queries, whether they're Google AI queries from Gemini or coming from OpenAI or from any number of other places. The bulk of their revenue is at risk. However, Google is making moves that are maybe more ambitious than any other frontier lab in the world towards super intelligence and to solving some of the world's biggest problems. And I think Google actually has a pretty good degree of trust globally because of the legacy value of what they've done over the past few decades, that they could be the company to solve all the world's biggest problems and be trusted to actually put those solutions in place. So when I think about Google, there's a tremendous amount of short-term risk there, but in the long term, they are probably positioned better than anyone else to hit a grand slam. And I hope they do, because everything that they're working on is is generally for good, right? It's a fascinating company. Tesla, even more so, is so committed to the ultra long game, specifically with their play in robotics, that the concept of owning the full stack on an infinite labor machine that can rebuild the earth and essentially create new industries from the ground up is probably the biggest theoretical win that any company could have. And Tesla, because they still kind of operate under Elon, like an early stage company, and I'm going to say if, because I haven't seen the goods yet. Optimus 3 should be shown in the next 6 months. If they crack the code on generalized robotics, Tesla could be the biggest winner, but they have to show the goods. Like, they have to actually execute on that. I think Elon is willing to move quicker and do more ambitious things than any CEO on earth. So again, if generalized robotics materializes like I think it will over the next 5 to 10 years, I think Tesla might be in the pole position to benefit more than any other company on earth, because you're creating an infinite labor machine, and we can't even wrap our head around what that means for the future of industry.
Who do you think is the best founder?
I think that, oh boy, to date,
alive now.
God, I think Jensen. I think Jensen, no one would have done what he did. The risk that he took on, the projects that he took on 12, 13 years ago that brought us to the compute that we have today, is just absolutely astonishing that he did that. He put that entire company at risk time and time again, and not one person thought that it was a good idea. Like, I speak to people that knew Jensen back then, and they're like, he was freaking crazy. Like, we all thought he was nuts. Like, because he was talking about doing things that clearly wouldn't pay off for like a decade plus. And who would have thought? Like, the chipsets that they're on right now. I would say you'd have to give it to Jensen, but you'd also have to give a nod to a guy who is technically no longer CEO, but 𝗪𝗓𝗪𝗓 at Google DeepMind. So he was founder and CEO of DeepMind, which was acquired by Google. But 𝗪𝗓𝗪𝗓 is probably the guy that you would have to attribute most of the breakthroughs that we have today beyond the chip itself that we have to attribute Jensen and his team to, right? So I'd say Jensen and 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗪 would be the two guys that come to mind. Now, you got to have Elon's right up there, obviously. And I also think Vlad at Robinhood. You know, it's a financial firm, so it's not as sexy in terms of its, you know, obvious, you know, interaction with all people if you're not an active investor. But I think Vlad should be up there as well.
Now, speaking of that, what are your thoughts on the prediction market trend?
Yeah, I love prediction markets for one thing and one thing only, in that it forces people to think about probability and outcomes. And I think thinking about probabilities and outcomes is the core attribute that you have to be a great investor. So the issue with prediction markets is it drives a tremendous amount of dopamine, and it makes you think that you're investing when you're not. So prediction markets operate out of a fixed pie. So there's a winner and a loser. So every time somebody wins, somebody loses. There's no net gain in a prediction market. The world of investing is a constantly bigger pie every day, right? The entire global capital market and industry is getting larger every single year. And if you're an investor, you're trying to get a bigger piece of a growing pie. So if you're going to play in one of those two games, which game do you want to play in? You want to play in a game where you're trying to get a bigger piece of a pie that's getting bigger every year, as opposed to a pie that's always the same size, where there's always an equal winner and loser, and then someone shaving a little bit.
Now, really quick, every business is asking themselves the same question. How do we make AI work for us? The possibilities are limitless, but guessing is too risky, and sitting on the sidelines is not an option, because one thing is certain. If you're not doing it, your competitors are already making their move.
And that's where our sponsor NetSuite by Oracle comes in. It's the #1 AI cloud ERP, trusted by over 43,000 businesses to manage everything from financials and inventory to commerce, HR, and CRM, all in one unified system.
When all of your data is in one place, your AI becomes a lot smarter. It doesn't just guess. It knows. NetSuite intelligently automates routine tasks, delivers real-time insights, and helps you make fast, confident decisions that actually help drive growth.
And it's not just an add-on, it's AI that's literally built right into the system that runs your business, helping you cut costs, improve accuracy, and stay ahead of the competition.
Whether your company is making millions or even hundreds of millions, NetSuite gives you visibility and control to keep moving forward. Honestly, if I were building a business of this size, NetSuite's the only company that I have 100% confidence in.
So if your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, get our completely free business guide, Demystifying AI, at netsuite.com/clips.
Again, the guide is free for you at netsuite.com/clips, netsuite.com/clips, with the link down below in the description.